Hello, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. This is Mark Soberman with the NetPicks Premier Trader University. Definitely very excited to have everybody with us on this. Gosh, I don't even remember what day this is. So Thursday at 12 o'clock, New York time anyway. 11 o'clock for me. I'm out in Texas, joined by also several of our NetPicks crew. I've got Troy with us today. Troy, how's it going today?
Oh, it's going good, Mark. Thank you very much.
And we've also got working in the background and helping us answer questions as we go. You'll probably hear a little bit from Coach Ron is there, and Will is there doing some recordings. And we even have Brian joining us from out of the country. So we're working in the background to answer questions as we go. That's just the usual reminder. So feel free to interact with us. Be happy to hear what those are, and I'll do some Q&A at the end too. Anything that we don't get to. So a couple other housekeeping things. You can see the topic that we'll be talking about today, and we're going to be going over the Premier Trader University. This has been super popular for us. We just don't hold it very often. Our classes, in fact, it's been quite some time. The last time was sometime in the first half of 2013. After having a number of classes in a row, things just got so busy for us, and we've had a lot of requests for this to bring it back. So that's what we're doing. And what we like to do is give you some educational presentation. And today's topic is a good one. It's one that's on a lot of traders' minds. As you can see, it's all about automating your trading, or maybe should you automate your trading, and then what can go wrong, what can go right. I've got about 2 years of active experience in this. I've used automation on and off over the years, but over the last 2 years, it's something that I use basically every single day. But I do it a little bit differently maybe than a lot of people would, based upon things that I've learned, I guess sometimes the hard way. So I definitely want to share that with you today, and Troy's going to do the same. He's also going to show you some of the really neat ways you can use automation for when we refer to it a lot of times as trade assist, because you can do a lot of really interesting things with automation tools that aren't always just having it place a trade. Sometimes it's much more powerful using it and deploying it in other ways. We're going to be showing trades, we're going to be showing results, we're going to be showing things where there's profit and then where there's loss. So I always like to tell everybody, I don't think you guys need to be told, but I'm sure you know with futures and Forex and options, you've always got risk, you've always got leverage. Just make sure you understand that. In particular, auto trading is one of those things that I learned a lot about, that is not always as easy as you think to replicate what's happening in your performance reports in your live accounts. So that's going to be a lot of what we talk about here today. Again, my name is Mark Soberman, founded NetPicks back in 1996. I'm joined here by Troy Noonan, the developer of Trend Jumper and SST, and one of our curriculum teachers in the Premier Trader University. Working in the background, we've got Coach Ron, we've got Brian, we've got Will, so they also all teach inside the university. So just so you guys know that. I'm going to be talking about the power of a fixed trade plan. When you have a fixed trade plan, what I mean by that is exact entry, targets, and stops. So you start to think, well, geez, if I'm trading with exact entry, target, and stop, shouldn't I be able to automate the trading? Why do I have to work? Well, I'm going to talk about using automation properly, and then what I kind of call semi-automation or trade assist. And then, of course, I want to show you and tell you about the brand new Premier Trader University classes that are coming up, how you can participate in that, what's included. So we've got, really, kind of packed webinar here today. All right. So, Troy, I don't know if you have like a little feedback maybe on yours, or just kind of noticed that. Not sure maybe if you're close to the mic or it's just maybe coming through that way.
Not sure. Did that fix it?
Yeah, that seems a little better. So no problem. It's not a big deal. All right. So we started back in '96. A lot of you probably know that already. We've worked with literally thousands of traders from around the world. We all trade live. I mean, I traded live today. I was in a mad dash rush to get my trading done so I could get to this webinar and give you guys a good presentation. But I don't think you should worry about me being in a mad dash rush. I think what you should be happy about is the fact that those of us talking to you here today actually trade live in the markets, and I use the exact tools that we're going to show you here today. So, and that's me in the top left, and then Brian in the bottom right there. And that includes the whole team here as well. And I feel bad because one of our coaches, we left out his picture. So Coach Adnan, if you're here, my apologies. We'll get you added in next time around. But this is the coaching team, and that's just the key. We all are involved in the markets every day. We're very close to the action. Everybody who teaches at the university, I mean, we know trading backwards and forwards. We know what goes right, and we do know what goes wrong. And that also is experience dealing with hundreds of you over the years. So that kind of puts us in a unique experience. Now, why do people want to auto trade? Well, set it and forget it is awfully cool, right? No intervention, boy, that sounds really lovely. The profits just roll on in, right? That's kind of living the dream. A lot of traders are fearful of making mistakes if they are in control, and they, kind of beat themselves up. Maybe you've done this when you make a mistake. Truly, you've seen all the marketing, the pictures of the guy on the laptop on the beach, living the dream. We got one of our guys here, Brian, joining us basically from the beach, so you would think we should be taking pictures of him trading from the beach, but that's always the dream. Afternoon naps, you're on the golf course. If you hate golf, that's fine. Whatever you love, whatever your passion is, and all the while your computer and your internet connection is just racking up easy money for you. You could do it from anywhere in the world, so as you're traveling on your yacht, it's a piece of cake. And a lot of the reason is it is fear and greed, and that seems like a bad thing to say, but it is true. I mean, we're all motivated by that money, and we just kind of want it, and it's sometimes not the best motivation all the time. Now, what people forget about auto trade, and what I've kind of learned really the hard way, number one is drawdown. We have a habit of looking on the hard right edge of our strategy performance reports, and I've been guilty of this as well. And then I'm like, well, who cares what happened from point A, meaning trade number one, to trade number 1,000 if the damn right edge is so awesome? Well, that sounds good in theory, but when you start going through it, and I'm going to show you a little bit even today what I'm experiencing with some amazing results, and also when in real time you're starting to deal with the drawdown, it's not as easy as you think when you're just looking at that hard right edge. You get very bold, and what happens is you overtrade and you trade too large of a position because you just don't think it's a big deal. And then you also forget that drawdowns, that's what it's been based upon maybe your backtest, even if it's a bit of go forward. I'm always a believer in you better double that because that's probably worst case scenario. The other thing people forget about auto trade is that you can't intervene if you rely on it 100%, so it's kind of like zombie-like trading. And anybody who's really learned how to trade realizes that you got to understand news. You have to understand that there are definite chart levels on a chart that are highly challenging for a market to get through, that a mechanical system is just not going to deal with. Key levels, which what I mean by that is the big round numbers, mechanical kind of doesn't give a whatever. It's just going to go ahead and play sometimes really dumb trades. And then, mechanical doesn't think, well, geez, you're almost at target. Maybe you should do something about that. It's just going to be like, well, fine. You told me not to get out until I hit this price. So, there are some real downsides with that. You lose all the ability to get the improvement from things like we call the art of trading. And trading does get out of sync. This is another thing people don't realize. And those of you who've auto traded, you could probably back me up here. As much as you think everything's going to go perfectly smoothly, I've had plenty of times where I was supposed to be flat, and I come in at the end of the day, and the market's already closed, and somehow I'm still long. How'd that happen? I've had times where it's supposed to get me out before the end of the day, and the market super slows down, so one bar takes forever, and that bar doesn't close in time, and at the end of the day, I'm literally on a Friday, I'm holding a position over the weekend. Not the greatest thing to have to deal with over the weekend on a day trade. I mean, it kind of messes up your weekend. You think everything should go perfectly and smoothly, but it just doesn't always do that. Your platform could disconnect. Do you know what would happen if your platform disconnected? Does yours reconnect? For a long time, I had an issue where on TradeStation, if it had a disconnect, it would not reconnect to the point I had to have software built for me that would log me back in. It would basically plug my password back in. Now, thankfully, they corrected that. But think about it before you had that, or if you're not aware of these things, what could ultimately happen? You also think auto correction can never have error, or auto execution can never have errors, but I'm here to tell you it does. And there still is the mistake factor. You can set settings incorrectly. It's really easy, to do something wrong when you're, changing 10, 15 different numbers. And you don't notice it, unfortunately, until it's after the fact. And then it doesn't take a trade when it should. And then you start to go the whole revenge cycle. There's a lot that can definitely go wrong. We talked a little bit about the technical things that can factor in, like the internet can go down. The connection to the broker can fail. I mean, these are things you need to be aware of. So what I like to do is what I call semi-auto trade. I rely heavily on auto trade, but I don't rely on it 100%. I always feel that I make the final decision on every single trade, okay? I stay in control. But one thing that I really enjoy is, for instance, I trade the DAX futures. They start at 4 o'clock in the morning my time. I am not going to wake up at 4 in the morning, nor am I going to stay up until that. So I will kick off the automation before I go to sleep at night, and I will have it start trading that market so I don't have to miss what I have found is a great start time. So literally I'll come in about 3 hours later, and you're right, on those potential trades, I don't have the final say. But I'm willing to live with that because I realize once I come in, if it hasn't traded, I'm now in control again. And if it has, my odds are still good that it's going to work. It's not as perfect as when I'm here, but it's still definitely profitable. And I have determined that it's profitable enough that it makes sense for me to kick it off. Another thing is sometimes I need to leave. I'm sure you guys are in the same situation, or I need to do a webinar like this. Many, many times, you maybe haven't always known this, I've been doing a webinar with all of you, and I've still had trades going, and today, thankfully, I got done with everything. I just then say, you know what, the automation can finish it. I know what it's doing, I know where the targets are, it's on the last trade, and I can leave, and it will take care of moving my stop, getting me out, whatever the case may be. It's really nice to kind of lean on it for that. All right. Another thing I like is it'll immediately place the entries and the targets and the stops the moment in the market. So today, for instance, the DAX in particular had this really fast move twice. I don't think I could have been quick enough if I didn't have this running. So it's really neat that it does. Now, when it places a trade, I hear an audible. I'm working on a different desk. I just get up and I go over and I just do my final confirmation on the entry. After that, I let it basically take care of it from there. All right, so I get that audible notification, but I can stay very much on top of things if it ever gets out of sync. I can fix that. I can go into the broker. I can exit out. I can go flat. When there's news like there was like yesterday, I can go really easily, right-click, and turn off that automation for 5 minutes. Okay, I can adjust it. I can say, you know what, from 7:30 to 7:32, it's employment report. Don't take trades during that horrible time, where you'll just get whipsawed and have awful execution. There's other things I can do. Sometimes I have my portfolio collectively doing really well, and I just like the number that I see. And maybe people would argue against this, but there's been times that I've just decided to click a button and clear out, and basically know that I have a performance way above average, and I don't want to risk it going down from that point. Again, being able to look at it gives me that control. Really important. Now, the ability to work around chart levels is really huge. Key levels aren't as important on automation, and I've done a lot of testing on this, but chart levels, which I'll show you in a little bit in a moment, can make all the difference. I mean, it will definitely add, I believe, 10% to 40% to your bottom line if you're just or smart about your chart work. And that takes a little bit of experience and some education, but that's something that automation cannot do for you. So I can still walk away anytime. I can still work on other projects. I can still do set and forget. I'm still kind of semi-living the dream, but not completely. And I realize for marketing, it would be a lot more powerful for me to lie to all of you and say that just throw this software on and come back in a month and just collect your earnings. And I wish I could tell you that. But if you guys are willing to be semi-auto trade, take some of the great things about auto trade, but not everything, I think it can be a tremendously important thing. Troy's going to talk about this part too a little bit, is forget automation for a minute. What the software can do when you're using a strategy, whether it's on Ninja or MetaTrader or TradeStation, as you guys know, you can test a lot of things. And I don't mean trying to curve fit something and try to end up with something that's just super hypothetical and is never going to replicate. There's some key things that you can really put to the test and get some great answers that would normally take you probably dozens to hundreds of hours to do it manually. I mean, I can find out very easily if what we teach, something called Power of Quitting 1, is better than Power of Quitting 2. That's not something that's going to be curve fit, all right? That's something that's just going to be a clear answer. I can find out if starting at 4 in the morning or 7 in the morning over a long stretch of time, which one is better, all right? I can also get a much better feel for my drawdowns when I can very quickly put something on that I know is mechanical, and I know in my heart of hearts I'm going to beat the mechanical, but at least I know if it was purely mechanical how bad my drawdown would be. And if I want, I could double it, or add 50% on and know what's a good way to go ahead and decide on my position sizing, all right? So no longer just guessing on that. And you see a number of other big advantages here that you can do with just the software, even if you didn't even semi-auto trade. You literally just did it manually. What you can learn and find out and the amount of time you save it is amazing. I mean, it's really incredible what you can do with it overall. All right, so what I wanted to do was let me go to the charts, and I want to give you some examples and show you some things and try to get you to visualize a little bit what I'm talking about. So I'll spend just a little bit of time on this, and then I'm going to hand it off to Troy because he's got some really amazing things to show you as well. So basically what you're looking on when we teach the university, one of the things that I focus on during the university, and I'll talk about this in more detail, is this automated side to trading. And I'll be sharing with you the trade plans that we have found have worked, even since our original university classes back in 2012, and have been working since then. And not every market holds up, and not every market always continues to work, but we've got the experience on which are the best markets to trade this way, and also we've got some brand new plans as well. And things that I've been using in my personal trading. So that'll be shared, and I'll sort of teach you how I do it. So some of what you see here are things that I'm using. And so I want to kind of show you, if I was to bring up, and this is crude oil, a strategy performance report. This is what I was telling you. Do you see this report? This is based upon 100% mechanical. This is based upon trading 2 contracts, by the way, just to be upfront. All right, and I don't think there's anybody who wouldn't say, sign me up, let me trade this. All right, but let's take it down a notch. Let's go to periodical returns, but let's go to monthly. All right, monthly, sign me up. Looks pretty damn good. And this is, like I said, this is having it do all the trades. This is not intervening at all. So I've already told you if I can convince you to semi-auto trade, you can add, I don't know, 10, 15% to this, and I think even better. But maybe you can say, well, this is worst case. That looks pretty darn good. But let me go down one more notch. Let me go down to weekly. Now, when you start to go down to weekly, the story might change a little bit for you, right? Because you start to see some weeks that are not perfect. And you start to see some stretches, not too much right now. Maybe that'll even have a little bit of drawdown. It's very easy to focus in on the $4,000 week, and they will occur. Okay, they will, and they will again. But it's important to start to break it down that way. And if you even go down to daily, you'll see more red. Well, what I find is people start to think, well, oh, geez, just show me that. That's all I need to see. And I really need you guys to think on breaking it down almost down to the trade. Because unfortunately, people will quit very easily and very quickly, even on automation, despite how easy it is, because they can't stand the red. They can't stand to lose. But this is what they want, and this is what you can get if you will stay with it. All right? And you have to focus on the bad stuff. I hate to say it, but I focus on this. What is my max drawdown? $3,000 on 2 contracts, all right, $1,500 on 1. So yes, my broker would let me probably with $10,000 trade a couple contracts, especially day trading. But would that be smart with a max drawdown that's already occurred of $3,000? That's a 30% drawdown. No, that would not be smart. Even though in this amount of time over the last, I don't know, this is 5-6 months, I theoretically have tripled my account. Now you've got a little bit of cost in here, of course. Commission, slippage is really minimal on this market, so it won't be much. But, gosh, double, triple your money. Just call it a double. Let's just say this is just, is $10,000 in profit, after, or $20,000. Cut it in half. I don't care. It's a great number, and that's before intervening. But you have to be very aware of what happens on this side of it. And what I want to show you is how much you can change things as you go through this. Kind of what I'm going for targets, and I try to be very consistent. I don't try to change a lot. Troy is really great at this, in his strategies, not curve fitting and over optimizing. But you remember when I said you can test things like power of quitting? So what if I tried power of quitting 2? And what that means is 2 winners or more in a day and positive and done. So if I get 1 winner, I don't quit until I have a second winner, okay? And so, I could very easily determine, is that smart? What about rather than going for my bigger target, I go ahead and I test going for 1 smaller target, and then I trail the rest up to a bigger target. This will be a very simple test here, but I want to show you. What if I don't start at 7:40 in the morning? What if I instead start closer to 8 o'clock? What would happen between the two? And this is Central Standard Time, by the way. And this will be a relatively quick test because I'm not testing a lot of variables, which I don't like to do. I never like to typically test more than 1 or 2 variables at a time anyway, because then you're going to start to get yourself into that world of curve fit. But here I'm not changing any of the indicators anyway. I'm not changing anything that determines a buy or a sell. Notice that I dealt with time, I dealt with power of quitting. I didn't deal with, change the moving average to 55.6, which is better than 55.4. And then you find out 55.2 loses a ton of money. That's not what you want to be doing with automation. I apologize a little bit for the speed here, but this is a lot of data. So it has to, it's already done the task, but now it needs to bring the whole chart back in. But it'll come in. So, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what it comes up with. It's always pretty fascinating. All right, so I bring this back up and I find out, and let me make this a little bigger so you guys can see this hopefully. Make this a little bigger. So what I wanted to show you was, oops, wrong one. Okay, so net profit. I'm going to sort by net profit. So the best net profit was starting at 740, power of quitting 1, all right, and not getting out at the smaller target, which feels so good when you get out there, because look at the winning percentage getting out at the first target and then trailing. 65%, another time 65%, 67%, 67%. Man, that sounds like what I should be doing, right? But start to look at the potential difference in profit. Now, this one's not bad, right? 23,000 is not a huge difference from here. I also get the psychological edge of having a lot more profitable trades than this one, okay? But you just notice just by changing time, literally 7:40 to 8 o'clock, no other thing being different, I almost got cut in half on my profit. And people get shocked by this all the time. I can show you times where I change the start time by 5 minutes, and it makes all the difference in the world from a winning system to a losing system. And I kind of don't like, even though I know I made the font a little better for you guys, it's almost too big here overall. Let me just do this. Hopefully you guys, it won't be too hard to see. I'm just used to seeing all the fields. The other things that I love to look at are return on account. All right, so this is going to factor in the profit and the drawdown. Right, that's another important thing. Sometimes you'll find your top profit will not be anywhere near your top return because it's got a huge drawdown in the meantime. So even though this one has a little bigger drawdown than the one down below, it has a better return because overall profit. And a lot of other things you can look at are consecutive winners, consecutive losers. These are all important. Notice this one, actually look at the bottom one, a $6,000 drawdown. So another thing I love to look at is a ratio. Take the ratio of the profit to the drawdown. In this case, it's 18,000, all right? And go over here to your drawdown is 6,000. That's about a 3-to-1 drawdown. I mean, net profit to drawdown ratio. I like to be at least 5-to-1 or better, okay? Anything that I'm doing over time. So you notice the top one, $29,000 in profit. What was your drawdown? $3,000. So that's almost 9-to-1. That's almost 10-to-1. That's very, very good. I have a lot of my markets where I'm like 8-to-1, 9-to-1, 10-to-1, 11-to-1. That's going to bail you out in those times where you're going through the drawdown, just knowing you've got that ratio. So be very careful on that ratio in particular. Even if you have $29,000 in profit, but your drawdown is $15,000, that 2-to-1 is not good enough, even though you would be profitable theoretically over time. So you can see how quickly you can change on just a market like this. Now, here's a situation from this morning. That's why I point this out. Well, $29,000 in profit sounds awesome, but that does not prevent me from losing. That does not prevent me from having a day that doesn't work out. And I have max losses of 2, by the way. That's another thing that I've tested a lot. I have found almost in all cases, power of quitting 1, max loss 2 is by far, and then focus on time is going to be the difference maker for all of you. Okay, just one of those things. Here's an example too. I mean, look at a trade like this on a short. This is really where it gets very pleasurable to be doing auto trading, because if I'm not doing auto trade on this one, and I have to follow it and track it the whole way down. And I need to really, the calculator got changed a little bit here, which is why it's not matching up. But of course, you want to match your calculator to the other. I have a trailing stop is built in, is why I got out here. But that's nice because that can sometimes take hours. And if you know your auto trader is always working for you, that can be a very, obviously, pleasurable experience, not having to watch this pip for pip, tick for tick. So here's the DAX. Now this one actually started a little bit later. This was at 7:30 in the morning. So theoretically, this is one that I can track and trade, but they can start quite a bit earlier. So again, if I show you on the DAX, over this time, and this is a shorter amount of time. This is just since January 23rd. All right, so you've got about a month, month and a few weeks. Really great number overall. Okay, but I wanted to bring it down a little bit because when you start to go over less time, you'll start to see the drawdowns more clearly, right? When you go over like 6 months, all of this tends to smooth out, so you don't experience it the way maybe I would experience it trading it live. When I look at the monthly, this is so rock solid, and I had an incredible streak going in the DAX. This week has been a little tougher in some cases because I also trade on share bars, but on the momentum, it's been pretty good. But this is a great looking number, right, on the monthly. And if I showed you, well, the annual number, it's not. This is just 6 weeks, okay? 15 grand on 2 contracts. That's awesome. If I show you the weekly, looks pretty damn good. But you start to see, right, a little bit, I don't want to call them warts, but you see the experience. Now look at this. Notice this in here. What would you guys have done in this situation? We had 3 days in a row that were 0-2, 0-2, 0-2. Well, you know what? A lot of people will be like, this is crap. This doesn't work. But wait a minute. Yeah, it works. See, these are things that automation and performance reports, this is what I look for. I don't look for, oh, I just focus on this number. That's important to me, but I'm pretty much done with that number, and I start to dig a lot deeper. Let's look at the ratio, 15,800 to 5,200. It's not a great ratio, but part of that is because I'm doing this over a short amount of time. I typically, when I do my ratio, would like to do about 120 trading days or more. So let's just say this is basically half that. So if this was 30,000 and if my drawdown would hold up at 5,000, then I'm about a 6-to-1 ratio. That's pretty darn good. And I know on this one, because I trade this, the ratio is actually about 7-to-1 overall. But I just happened to hit, because I wanted to show you, a period where I did have a drawdown overall. But you can see the results over time, they speak for themselves. Now this is the same way. I can go in and determine, is power of quitting 1 the best? What about my target? I have found on the DAX that I need to bring in my target. This is something that I've done on multiple tasks, and it'd be very, very difficult to have to do this manually. So another, very powerful thing that you get from trading this way. Another market that I like to trade. It's not right for everybody, but it's the silver market, and this is actually a 144 tick, and I can show you the same way. This great looking equity curve, especially if you guys just focused on the right hand side and ignored everything else. But there were times where there were issues, and again, this is 100% mechanical, so I feel I should be able to improve upon this. But results can be dramatically different, in particular on silver. This is a market that gets hot, and then it kind of like shrivels up a little bit on performance, and then it gets hot again, just like gold does. So I'll have some amazing months, and I'll have some months where it's okay, and I'll have some months where it struggles. But again, if you go down to the weekly, you start to see the more realistic experience, and even go down to the daily, you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row that are nice, but there are always going to be pockets that aren't. This is one nice thing that you'll get from using trading this way. And the same thing, I can very easily say, well, what if I start to play with, what if I just play with target? What instead of going for 4 times, it's what we call a 4x target. What if I say, I'll take anywhere from a 2x, a small target, to a bigger target, and we just kind of run it on that. Again, I want to avoid feeling like I'm curve fitting and optimizing. But you'll notice I'm not really messing with what determines an entry, what determines a sell. I'm really more looking at parameters that factor in. And I might end up with a much better number, even on something that I'm doing differently. But I look at the bigger picture, so I don't always take the top performing number. But we'll go ahead and see what this turns out to be. Can you imagine manually having to test for a 2 times target, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, and 7 times? And this is over like 4 or 5 months, hundreds of trades each time. I don't know, 50 hours of effort. We're doing it basically here in a minute. So I'm going to bring this up, and then I'm going to hand this off to Troy, and he's got some really cool stuff to show you. So get ready for that. Let's just have this come up, though. Okay, so you can already see, because my calculator is different than the automation, it has come up with something different that it says is the best. So you notice the best profit is going for the bigger target, $56,000, versus the one that I was using, which is about $50,000. Now, when I made my decision to go this way, I looked at a variety of different things, including drawdown and winning percentages, and I determined for me, for the consistency, and especially because I did this probably weeks or months ago, it changes over time. Every once in a while, you should reset and just make sure the market hasn't dramatically changed. But you can see there is some difference. And if I was to look at the performance report, looks very similar, right? But it definitely makes more. And I'm sure if I actually went to the monthly, it might be compelling. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously very compelling. And I do like to see this when I look at the monthlies and the weeklies. This is also a test of mine. So I was like, are the majority of the weeks going to end up positive? I'm going to have my losing weeks. I know that. So you start to really break down the results, and you'll learn, and this is something we'll teach you, how to really break this down. How important is the average trade? How important is the ratio? What's the ratio on this one? 56,000 with a drawdown of 8,000, right? This is 2 contracts on silver. This is not for everybody. One contract is going to be 4. All right, so that's still a good ratio, though. It's it's about 6 or 7 to 1 overall. So that's what I look for. I could obviously go on and on with this. This is just really compelling, cool stuff. I think it's great if you're into trading. But Troy, let me hand it off to you. I want to give you enough time to cover your topics here.
There it is. Great. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, boy, I love watching that demonstration. It's amazing what you can learn in such a short period of time. Automation has its virtues, no doubt. Trend Jumper has a lot of great things you can do with automation too, but Trend Jumper came from a completely different place when it was first conceived. It came from my own personal experience being live in the markets, hosting a live trade room for many years in a row, and then the whole experience of developing and living with the SST strategy. And all that kind of went into the Trend Jumper. It came out of a lot of observation and noticing things and patterns. And so the Trend Jumper was born from a lot of manual work. Didn't have tools, didn't have indicators really, had some crude indicators. And so the Trend Jumper just kind of came into this world from a completely different point of view. And so a lot of times I get these questions, well, why can't I set up the automation to duplicate what we're doing in the trade room? And well, the answer is because everything that was created with those older trade plans, which incidentally are still doing good after all this time, all came out of things that the automation just isn't good at doing. Like what Mark was saying, working around chart levels or selecting a setup. It confuses the automation when we're getting in sync and there's 3 or 4 different setups. We as human beings can think through and decide which one to take. The automation has problems with that. So it right away with the basic Trend Jumper, trying to fit automation into the already working existing trade plans is a non-starter. You don't do it, it's not going to work. Okay, so but the thing is that the Trend Jumper is so versatile. It's almost like there's a lot of strategies within the strategy, and this is where the automation really shows its worth, because there are so many ways to use the Trend Jumper concept with just the handful of indicators that we're using, the jump lines, the EMAs, and the multipliers, using the bar, the setup bar, the way we do with Trend Jumper. It's really hard to come up with custom stuff that you kind of need to do with certain charts without the automation. Okay, so part of my job, of course, is trying to come up with trade plans to appeal to a whole big diverse membership. We've got members that want to trade all kinds of different markets and time frames. Really hard to do without the automation. So what I have here is a bunch of examples that I want to show you that I've been able to create with the automation. Mark touched upon this. There's so much more value to just using the automation to trade or to semi-auto trade for you. My biggest value with the automation for me is to answer a lot of questions that are really difficult to answer without it, and to actually do research and development on new strategies, and then continue to monitor and see how they work going forward, because that's also a big part of it. And you have to be very careful when you come up with something that looks really good to start. You have to still kind of put it on probation and watch it for a while and make sure it continues to do what it's supposed to do going forward. That's one way to help alleviate the risk of overly curve fitting something. Okay, so I'll show you a couple examples here in a minute. I just wanted to kind of set the stage with that main concept. Another thing is that when you're trying to figure out something, like let's say you want to trade a 1 hour chart on Forex, right? Or you want more 5-minute charts because you're just not happy with the 1 day trade plan with the euro yen. Maybe you want to try some other stuff, or you want to come up with a broader collection of stocks and ETFs. The important thing to start with is you want to ask certain big picture questions, okay, and focus in on getting some answers. Mark touched upon that with power of quitting and time of day, when you want to start. Finding the best time to start for day trading is critical. I mean, the 5-minute example where 5 minutes can make all the difference is dramatic, and it's true. But let's say you want to know, what's the best starting point with your jump lines. I mean, for me, I couldn't get the euro-yen 5-minute plan to work until I changed my jump lines. The jump line, the 9 and the 4s work great with so many markets, but with the 5-minute chart, just couldn't get it to work. And in order to really figure it out, I needed the automation. And I came up with the 6 and the 2, as you guys know if you're trading that. Okay? That also happens to be the same lines that work with the YM 5-minute chart. So, I don't know, maybe with the 5-minute chart, that's a good starting point. And once you discover that, it gives you a foundation to start testing all the other things, because it's a daunting task. You have so many things you could test. It's hard to know where to begin, and knowing where to begin is going to make all the difference on whether you can come up with something that works or not. So, a lot of that comes with trial and error, but it also comes from just asking the right questions, focusing on the big picture, and don't try to do too much too fast. If you can figure out a single position, a good starting point, where you can get something that looks profitable going to just one target and that's it, and that's a great place to start. You can layer on some of the more complex maneuvers as you progress. Okay, so start with something simple. So with that whole concept, I came up with some examples here that I want to show you, and these examples have been working over time. They got like a year of seasoning already. I mean, these came out a year ago, give or take. Okay, so let me start just by showing you real quick. I know that Forex is always the big interest here, so let me make a little room. All right, so this one here is the Euro Aussie. It's a 4-hour chart. Okay, this has been out close to a year already, and it's continuing to hold up, right? It's a rolling forward, going back to the same date 3 years ago. Okay, so the whole 3-year block of time has been rolling forward day after day after day after day, and it's continuing to produce really, really good. You can see the equity curve looks pretty phenomenal. Now, can you trade this with automation? Well, you have to deal with all the concepts that Mark talked about, right? A 4-hour chart. You have to be willing to accept some errors, like Mark is willing when he trades the DAX early in the morning. He's still asleep. Starts his automation the night before. So you're going to have to experiment with it. Also with TradeStation, they're not going to let you trade micros. So you're going to have to start at least with a mini. Can't start smaller, and so you have to make sure you're putting on the proper risk, and you want to keep that very small, no more than 2% per position. This is a 2-position approach, So you got to factor all that in, okay? And then you can give it a try and see if it's executing and see if you're getting the fills you want. Or you can just do like Mark does and be willing to take the good with the bad, but then jump in and intervene manually when you're at your charts. But that's a big challenge. A 4-hour chart every 4 hours. Maybe it takes 6, 7, 8 bars before it even triggers in, or 6, 7, or 8 bars before it cancels, and then the trade in the opposite direction sets up and triggers in. Hard to do manually, right? So these are questions you got to ask yourself. Can you trade a time frame like this consistently over time? Maybe with the automation, you might actually be able to. Let's see. Let me move this out of the way. So another 4-hour chart. All the 4-hour charts, there's several trade plans on the Owners Club, and I've checked them all, and they're all doing pretty darn good, even a whole year later. So this one's another good one, the Pound Aussie. And you can see it's got another number you want to look for is your average net profit per trade. Okay? And what you're going to notice is that the higher the winning percentage, odds are your average net profit actually goes down. You'll notice that some of the examples that Mark showed you had a higher net profit per trade but a lower winning percentage. He was willing to take a method that was winning 50%, maybe even a little less than 50%, because his average profit per trade was such a good number that when you factor in all those wins and losses, every time he placed a trade, he was making money. It was like printing money. It's like a mint, right? Forget the losses, forget the winners. We're talking the forest growing, the big picture, right? That's what this number is, very important number. And when you're dealing with Forex, you've got to make sure that you're able to absorb some spread, right? Some slippage. There's got to be enough room in there for that. And you can see there definitely is with this one. And I'm only showing you a couple of these examples here on Forex. These are all on the Owners Club. You can check them out on Trend Jumper or PTU. And I'm definitely going to be working on some more. In fact, maybe now, before I show you these other examples, I want to announce that we are working on a whole new generation of power tools that we're plugging into the Trend Jumper. And some of them are just really great, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek because I want to show you something I've been working on here, and then we could look at some stocks too in a moment. But one of the big questions that I asked, that I wanted to try to come up with answers, is this whole idea of trading futures with more than one session a day, because some people just are not happy with power of quitting one. They feel like they have more trade in them. They want to trade more, but they also know it's a slippery slope. You keep trading. You have power of quitting and one in the bag, but if you keep trading, you end up giving your profit back, and then it messes you up psychologically. What are you going to do tomorrow, right? So there's this idea that, well, what if you had a session that was a couple hours long, and then when that's over, you can start a second session later in the day with a brand new start time, brand new power of quitting, just hitting the reset button and starting again. So you literally have 2 sessions in one day, maybe even 3. Okay? Now we learned that we could discover a lot of that with a lot of manual blood, and sweat equity using the UTA, the Ultimate Trade Analyzer, by putting in a lot of trades manually, and you can then go study the time of day studies. But you could do that with automation as well. The automation lets you set start time, stop time, pause time, and you can go ahead and test for different windows of time. So I'm working on a plan like that for crude oil, and I'm using the automation, and it's a lot of the new tools that we're adding to the Trend Jumpers making this very feasible. So let me show you the progress. I've got 2 mini sessions on crude oil. It required a larger chart. This one is a 610 tick chart, right? So these are bigger trades. It's not going to be for everybody, but I just want to show you this has been holding up pretty well. This is going back over 400 trades, right? And there's, it's not fantastic. It's okay, but it's sufficient enough to be profitable. And obviously, once all the tools are done, I'm going to continue working on it, seeing if I can improve upon it. What I like about it the most is that when I first came out with it, I've been watching it for a while now. It was somewhere in here, and it is going higher. And it continues to work, in other words, and the numbers are holding up pretty well. I'm not going to delve into this with too much detail. I'm just going to give you the concept. Okay, so this one starts at a certain time. It ends at a certain time. It's got its maximum number of trades you can take, so it's very contained and controlled. And then once that's finished, you can instantly then start your second session with a brand new power of quitting, but it's a whole different chart. This one's a faster chart. It's not as slow. It's a 425 tick. The parameters are different. Some of the trade plan rules are different, but it's great. So far, it's working really good. It's got a nice winning percentage. It's almost double the average profit per trade. You might just say, well, forget the early one. I just want to do this one. That's fine. It's got a nice profit factor. And this one also it's been going up. It's been going up since its creation. So when you create a plan, you want to stay with it, watch it work going forward, make sure it continues to work. There's no guarantee that it'll work forever, right? And like Mark said, sometimes you have to kind of refresh. You have to go run some tests and reset stuff just to stay up with the change in the market conditions, because market conditions are always changing. But the good news is, with Trend Jumper, it's so dynamic, it's all based on pure price action. For the most part, it should keep working if it's a good plan. And we've seen that now with the manual plans. We've seen that with a lot of the automated plans. The 4-hour chart plans that I just showed you continue to work on Forex, and the other ones are too. And some of these end-of-day stock and ETF plans continue to just be out of sight. I'll start with some of the popular ones. This one here has been amazing. I mean, it's actually been improving, but over the last 10 years, it's been winning 77% of the time with an equity curve that looks like that. I mean, it's pretty good because this has been out a year now, and it's still holding up. It's got amazing numbers in here. But another reason to maybe do this semi-automatically or to trade manually is that you use the automation to create this plan with a market like the Spider, right, the S&P ETF, but do you want to trade with $186 per share stock, or do you want to trade simple in-the-money calls and puts, right, with very low spreads, and you get the great risk management and the great leverage? Well, I don't know of a way to do that with automation. So a way that you use automation to capture these kind of trades is to create these trade plans or to follow along with the ones I'm creating. You can learn how to do it yourself, of course. Over time, you get really good at it. But once you get your plan, then you're just going to take the underlying setup and you're going to use that to guide your options trades. It's going to tell you what your strike price is getting in or thereabouts, what it could be. Maybe you're going to scale out at each target. Right? With the automation, you're only scaling out at the second target and trailing. But what's to stop you of, taking some profit at target 1 and holding on for the much bigger target, which is way up here, right, on this trade? Sometimes it'll get there on a big move. You could do that sort of thing. Okay, so again, it's another unique way to use the automation. I'll just show you quickly some of these results. I'm exploring some new ideas too, which I'll show you in a minute. The silver SLV, this was fantastic with SST, had huge numbers. With Trend Jumper, it's no different. Mark showed you the silver futures. Well, that might be too rich for a lot of you. I mean, you might not want to take on that kind of risk, but you can benefit from the movements in the silver market with the SLV ETF. And we're talking about a $20 stock. So you're going to be buying options that are very low cost, and it's winning a lot, right? It's got a really great average net profit per share, $1.47 on a $20 stock. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Big, huge profit factor, and it's just been holding up. It's been holding up for years. It's still holding up, and that's a great market to trade. Well, what about oil? You might not want to trade crude oil futures. You got the USO. It's an oil ETF. It's been going sideways for a little while. We got to keep our eye on it. Had a ton of growth there for a while, but you know, you're talking about a $36 stock with very low cost options winning 76% of its trades and making significant profits. Okay? Again, when you see it going sideways for a while, maybe that's a clue that you want to rerun the optimization, maybe copy and paste. So you have two, you have the original version and a new version, run them side by side for a while, and you might want to transition from one into the other. It's not something you do quickly. Same with gold. You might not want to trade gold futures, but this is the gold miners vector market, GDX, something like that. I mean, look at that curve. Look at that. And this has been going on for well over a year since it's been created. And when you see something holding up like that with these kind of winning percentages, these kind of profit factors, $126 might not sound like a lot, but that's per share. Okay, so you could kind of work in your head, well, what if I'm trading a 70 delta on average? You know, you can figure 70 cents on the dollar times 100 with very little risk and ballpark maybe what the profit's going to look like. Okay, you can just kind of work it out in your head and realize, wow, yeah, that's really good. Okay, so a few things also. This is something I'd never figure out without automation. Well, what if you want to trade? This is where the automation actually becomes feasible. You might want to trade the Qs. Maybe you are going to trade the shares and not the options, at least for a while. I mean, you can do that, but a momentum bar, that's kind of hard because these trades can trigger in any time. You really don't know when those trades are going to set up. It can move really fast. It can move really slow, right? Because they're momentum bars. They have nothing to do with time. But when you see numbers like this, 82% winners, and this trade plan has been around now for, I don't know, 6 months or so, it's still winning. It's anchored at April 12th. So just going forward from April 12th the whole time, almost a whole year now, winning 82% of the time on a 35-cent momentum bar, it's compelling. Maybe you want to find a way to be able to trade something like that. Maybe you can figure out a way to have it alert you so that you could put option trades on. I don't know. So anyway, that's kind of a hint or a clue as to what we're working on here. There's so much more to show you. I think what I'm going to do is pass this off to Mark and look for subsequent webinars coming up where we're going to talk more about all the new cool tools that we're adding to the Trend Jumper. Let me give it to you, Mark.
Great, thanks, Troy. I know between the both of us, this is something that we could probably talk about for hours because there's just so much to show. I always feel, I'm sure you probably do too, is like we're just barely scratching the surface on the power that that they're all going to have with these tools and with the software and with the strategies and with the plugins. I know it's just kind of almost hard to get to it all. But what I want to do now is talk a little bit about the Premier Trader University, the program overall, and everything that we've discussed here today, and actually quite a bit more, like Troy alluded to, and we'll be detailing that out over the next few weeks as well, is included in the university. But I want to sort of break down for you how this program works, why it's something that you should be very interested in. And this is the case whether you own, let's say, Trend Jumper or not. Whether you have any of our other systems or not. So it's really very comprehensive. And what we do is we break it down just like a university would. We have what we call our prerequisite training, the undergraduate portion, and the graduate portion. And I basically want to sort of take you through the details of what is kind of covered in this and what we'll be sharing during each part of this. So the prereqs, basically, as you see, when somebody enrolls in the Premier Trader University, you immediately have access to this. And the reason we do this, we've kind of learned over doing 6, 7, 8 classes, starting back in 2012 and 2013, and this would be our first one here in 2014, that we want everybody to be at the same general level when we actually start to do the in-depth university training. So this is a really great way to do that, no matter what your level is. If you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, obviously somebody who's intermediate or advanced will go through this a little bit quicker. But it's also important to sort of start to understand the way that we like to trade and the way that we like to do things. And so you guys will come into the live training really having a great foundation, whether it's style of trading, brokerage choice, fundamentals that are important, whether it's the charting basics, what we care about, platform selection, the technical analysis that is good, the technical analysis that we could care less about, important things to understand on risk management and trade psychology, and really the development and how we've developed our trade plan step by step. This was put together by the entire coaching team. We've gotten all kinds of raves about it, so you'll actually be taught by Will, by Ron, by myself, by Brian, by Troy, and it's all available immediately. And it's just, you've got plenty of time to go through it, but it's really important to go through the prerequisites. Then what happens is we'll have the first day of the training and the first day of the university, and this is where we'll teach the Trend Jumper core strategy. Now, if you already have the Trend Jumper, this is something that you basically already own. But for anybody who doesn't, we're going to go ahead and take you through all things Trend Jumper, as well as provide all of the software, the indicators that you see. They're good on TradeStation, they're good on NinjaTrader, and to a lesser extent, they're good on MetaTrader. Obviously, with MetaTrader, you're primarily looking at the Forex side of the equation. There's numerous different trade plans. I mean, we've had other webinars, maybe some of you attended, where we really break down what's included with the Trend Jumper, but the best way to look at it is it's all-inclusive, a day trading and a swing trading strategy, training, software, indicators, trade plan. I mean, you go through this on the undergraduate, and those of you who know and have come in on the Trend Jumper, you guys know you have this incredible foundation and system that works really across the board, and you see just a handful of the markets that we work on, and Troy's kind of showed you some of those as well. Now, there's a number of trade plans that you'll receive. You'll also get to, and we'll talk about this more, live training becomes, now we have monthly charges for it. When you're part of the university, we waive everything. So all costs on the university and on the live training rooms are waived. That includes the VIP level. So rather than 2 times a week, it's now 4 times a week. You also get the European market hours in addition to the U.S. market hours. So that's a great savings and a real big benefit. Even if you already have Trend Jumper, that is something that will come with it. But for the Trend Jumper or the people without it, this is what we'll do in that day 1 undergraduate training, okay? And this is how we train. We train in just like this, a webinar, but I'm also going to tell you about a neat opportunity that you can actually learn live from us if you would prefer to do it that way. So then we move on to day 2, and this is what we call the graduate level, the Trend Jumper Advanced. Now, if you're on Trend Jumper and you've never attended like our boot camps and anything like that, this is all going to be brand new for you. Obviously, if you're not on Trend Jumper at all, this is all brand new, but this is where it gets really exciting. We take a much deeper dive into the Trend Jumper, really go a lot deeper into the strategy, why it works, what works best. This is where we really start to improve your overall performance. Troy has more time to really take you through kind of what we call, the philosophy behind the magic. Knowing what to do in every single situation is quite critical to be successful in your trading. In addition, we go through many, many other things that are all going to be brand new for you, even if you're on the Trend Jumper. From best trade criteria, we introduce brand new filters that will minimize some losses and maximize profits. We learned some new techniques that we're going to teach you. There's something called off the line, a doji technique, tips on dealing with stops and reversals. There's new specialty trades, when you should trade against and when you should not trade against the 50 EMA. We go into much more depth on Forex trading, dealing with gaps at the open. This is all things that we have taught also in the past in our boot camps, which have been incredibly popular. So just think about all the basics that you have. We're going to go much more in depth on the tools and the software, the trade plans to make you more profitable. I mean, that's the whole point here, is to give you more options and more things that you can do. Now, one of the most exciting things, if you don't have it, and certainly anybody new will not, but if you're on Trend Jumper, you now get the Trend Jumper Pro calculator. This does all kinds of amazing things. It's chock full of tons of code that we'll put together, but a lot of the things that we had to do manually before, you no longer have had to do. Like Troy, for instance, I mean, how much time do you think the Trend Jumper Pro calculator saves you over the standard level?
Well, a ton of time, Mark, especially every day just calling the trade room. It would be very hard to be looking at 6 charts simultaneously, staying on top of all those trade plans and calling those trades, answering questions, if I had to pause and think through a lot of the maneuvers that we have to do with the standard calculator. I mean, 1 market, no big deal, right? You could do it. 2 markets maybe, but 6, I don't know if I could do it.
Right, and anybody really, in this case, what you're talking about is somebody who's trading multiple markets, I would assume. It would be very difficult without these tools.
Yeah. A lot of the tools, it does the thinking for you. You might forget that you have to adjust that entry around a 6 or a 5 or a 0, and you get in 1 tick too early. It never gets through the 5. Well, we didn't take that trade because we knew not to take it. The calculator made the adjustment for us. You accidentally did take it, and you end up with a losing trade. Or like this morning, a trade that got stopped out. Some traders got stopped out because they forgot to adjust the trailing stop around that key level. But the calculator does that for us. And, I mean, there are times when it won't. If we're in a trade that the calculator isn't tracking, we still have to know what the basic strategy is, because we might take an add-on trade and the calculator is not going to track the add-on trades. So we still have to know the basics. But we can borrow from the other trade. The stop catches up. We can now borrow that stop from the other trade, and we're right back on track. So these are things we learn as we, but it makes a huge difference. Huge.
Another thing is, and we showed you this was the basis of a lot of our presentation today, of course, was the trade assist. That's the automation, or in my case, like I say, the semi-automation that will come with. You'll get 90 days of access to that, more than enough time to decide, hey, do I want to continue using it? A lot of you will. There's all kinds of things you can do with the trade assist. I couldn't even begin to list everything. We've got a few things here. But the ability, like Troy showed you and I showed you, to determine something, what's right for you, whether it's time, start time, drawdowns, all that, and do it in basically seconds, what used to take dozens of hours, is huge. The fact that you can turn it on and let it trade for you in some cases, I mean, Troy told you there are some caveats to that, in particular on the trend jumper, but I'm going to also provide you with trade plans, where you actually can use those and have those turned on. And being able to use that. So, and we've got people who use these tools and actually trade on a regular basis with them. So really great feature, but not just providing the software, really going in depth and teaching you and training you on how to use them best. So it's not just putting on a software and hoping for the best. It's learning about all the inputs, the settings, where you might be getting yourself into a curve fit versus where you're going to be into something which is actually going to perform for you. So now that we've done the undergraduate, and we've done the graduate, now we move into what we call the master's level. And this is the first time nobody's ever seen some of these features. This is what Troy was referring to, the brand new Trend Jumper Toolkit. And you can see some of the things on the screen here. Maybe Troy, just briefly sort of take them through some of these features here.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, the targeting, we now are going to have a whole nother layer or level of targeting that we could test for. Instead of using the typical trend jumper scheme, which you hopefully all know if you're with the trend jumper, we can now apply an average true range style of targeting with the trend jumper setups, and we could test for that. And that's really cool. I'm actually using that with one of those crude oil charts I showed you. But we could use the same type of thing with entries and stops, and we could separate them out. So you can mix and match between trend jumper and the average true range on all 3 entry, targets, and stops. It's really, really great. And I used some of that on the other chart that was totally different between those 2 charts. So very important tools that are really making a big difference. New trailing stop tools. You may know that we're trailing an EMA with the Euro-Yen 5-minute chart, right? Or with the YM. And we have to do that manually because the calculator never could do that. Now it can. That's really, really great. We can now plot a third position and utilize the third target. We've never been able to do that before. Now we can. Stop and reverses. Stop and reverses are always difficult for anybody, especially when you're trading manually. Some traders just don't want to do it. Well, you can turn them on and off, and you can test for which one is more effective. That's just, some of the things that are coming with this toolkit.
Awesome. And I've promised everybody there's going to be a special workshop where I'm going to really go in depth and teach you how to use automated trading, semi-automated trading in your personal trading. Use what we call our PTU trade plans, which are separate from the Trend Jumper Pro. And I'm even going to show you some ways to use the Trend Jumper Pro and semi-automation, which can also be very beneficial. So really kind of get you guys armed. And don't forget, I've been doing it for 2 years. So really feel that I've got, I know exactly what works and what doesn't work, and have designed a training to really cover that. Now, one of the really neat things that's brand new, we have never done this before in the university, is we're going to have some special presenters that are actually NetPicks PTU owners, prior students, and they went through an entire process where they literally were able to get to the point of trading professionally and trading other people's money, so they're being staked and funded. And they get to keep, as you can see, the majority of the profits. So if you've ever thought, like, geez, this is great and I could do this, but I'm not going to have the capital, we're going to actually show you a roadmap and a way to get to the point where you will be staked, will be able to trade other people's money. But the only way you can do this, nobody's going to go ahead and give you these funds unless you can prove that you can trade successfully according to certain parameters. So we basically have designed the fact that we know the trade plans that will work. We know the trade plans that will meet the criteria of the investors to get them willing to give you these funds. And we've already had people go through this and do it. So this is really brand new, very exciting. This is something that should really light a lot of people up who are thinking, well, I can only do so much. How can I really scale this business? Well, how you scale is being staked and being able to trade multiple contracts in multiple markets. Not always so easy for a lot of people because some of the markets require a lot of capital. This is pretty neat, and the fact that you get to keep the bulk of the profits and not put up the money, but you have to show that you can trade successfully with the graduate level, with the undergraduate level. You will now have all the tools to do this successfully. So very excited about it. This is something we put together a while back. I won't go over it in a lot of detail, but what I'm trying to show you here is the difference between mechanical and actually learning the training. Remember when I told you semi-automation versus automation? Automation on the first column is good. Semi-automation, which is with training, is better. It's not always dramatically better, but sometimes it is dramatic. I can't guarantee you it's going to be 168% better. There are some markets, like the Russell Mini in particular, that is really sensitive to the adjustments we make, and some are not as nearly as much. But I would say 10 to 25 to 35% is very, very doable increase in the bottom line. Got lots of great testimonials from people who've gone through the PTU, gone through the trend jumper. Very happy with it overall. And don't forget, everything that we talk about is all in, all inclusive. So you've got everything. I won't spend a lot of time with this, just to know that there's a lot of people that have come before and a lot of successful classes. So the way it's going to work, when you sign up, you start the prereqs right away. The cool thing is you've got a few weeks here to go through that. Then we're going to teach live on April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, like you see broken down. We're also going to be doing it live in Los Angeles. So if you want to join us in classroom, we're more than happy for you to come out and join us in classroom. You certainly don't have to, but we know that some people like to just do it this way. They like to be in person, devoted, dedicated. If you want to learn virtually like this, that's perfectly great as well, because all the prior classes we always just taught in a webinar like this. A little more interactive. We use something else called Omnovia, so we can go back and forth more. But that's something that we've always offered. But we've never offered the ability to attend live if you'd like to. So this is brand new for us. We're going to do it in Southern California where the weather is nice. So just letting you guys know that. You'll have some coaches there, and Troy will be there. So it's a really great opportunity. So everything you get is all in, all inclusive. You get the Trend Jumper prereq, undergraduate, the graduate, the master level, all the indicators, all the software, exact entries and exits, the self-paced home study prerequisites, 3 days live. We'll also record it all, we'll archive it all, and you can attend live if you'd like. Trade plans on dozens of markets, okay? In addition, well, that wasn't supposed to go so fast, you get the Trend Jumper graduate program, the Pro Calculator, 90 days of trade assist, live in the market trading every week. And I mean, this is 4 times a week, so it's the VIP level in the US session, 2 times a week in the European session, Wave for life, so no additional cost. Those of you who've been on that before know that's about $300 a month just on its own. Special workshop on automated trading, like I've talked about, the roadmap and the intro course on trading with other people's money and getting staked by investors, absolutely very doable. Of course, the best support, I think, in the business, as you can see, and we offer 100% money-back guarantee, 45-day. I do need to ask you to attend the classes, go through it, install the indicators, take some trades, do them correctly. As long as you just make the effort, you're completely backed up, 45 days, 100% guarantee. That's all I'm asking you to do, is just do some of the work. So what does it cost? So let me just take you through this a little bit. The PTU all-inclusive, which is everything, the prereq, the undergraduate, the graduate, on the left-hand side is $39.97 one time. You can break it down and get started today for a four-pay of just $999. If you are a Trend Jumper owner, we are basically giving you a full credit for the Trend Jumper course because day one, the undergraduate, is something you already have. Everything after that is brand new. All right, so you can get it for $1,000 off, $29.97, or break it down into a four-pay at $749 a month times 4, and you're done. You own it for life, and no recurring on any of the live training sessions. Now, anybody who owns anything NetPicks can use a code 500 off, and we'll give you our family discount, because people always ask, well, what about the family discount? So if you're enrolling and you don't own Trend Jumper, it'll drop it down to $34.97. If you own Trend Jumper, I'll tell you what, rather than not giving you the family discount as well, we're also going to give you the family discount. So you get the $1,000 Trend Jumper discount plus you get the family discount, so down to $24.97. This is our highest level. This is everything that we have. It's the best of the best. It's all the best tools. It's 3 days of intense training. It's ongoing training, updates, and support with no recurring and no ongoing. It is definitely, like I said, the top level. We've had, I think, over time about 5, maybe 6 classes now. They're usually about 40 to 50 people in those classes. It tends to be the creme de la creme overall of us and everything that we offer. So to enroll here, and then we'll get to some questions, you just need to go to netpicks.com/enroll, okay, and that'll take you to the enrollment page, and then you're just going to want to pick, are you a Trend Jumper owner or not, and do you want a payment plan or not, okay? And then if you own one of our other products, could be anything, Ultimate Swing Trader, Keltner Bell, 7 Summits, anything, go ahead and use the 500 off no matter what, and that'll knock another $500 off immediately. You'll then go ahead and start to go through the prerequisite, and you can even start to attend our live training rooms if you want, though you won't have everything. You really want to wait until the training days to truly get started, and then think about if you want to schedule to come out and join us live, and we'll be putting something out in a little bit to ask people, are you planning to come live, because we will have limited seats. We probably won't be able to allow everybody to come live, so it's a first come, first serve. And we also will have a limited number of seats on the training. We've always sold out because I don't want to have 100 people in on the training, because you guys will be asking questions throughout. It's very interactive. It's a lot of us working with you directly, so we have some limitations clearly on that overall. A couple more quick reminders, and then we'll get to questions. If you are willing to use the TradeStation platform, they will literally reimburse you up to 100% of the tuition fee if you trade through them. So you trade through them, they've got great commissions and executions. You can actually get rebated back the entire costs that I just showed you. So that's a great option. We'll go into more details on that as people are interested. We have a lot of people on the tuition reimbursement, but it's a great way to learn, trade as you go, make money on your trading, and in the meantime, have the entire investment on the PTU reimbursed back to you, which is really slick overall. So let me go ahead and put up some contact information as well, and then I'll switch over to the questions. Troy, I've been rattling on a little bit. Anything you want to add while I switch over to questions?
Yeah, I mean, we've only had a short amount of time here, and we're not even able to really describe all the things we're going to be going over in this training, all the new tools that come with Trend Jumper, the Pro Toolkit, and so we'll be doing some additional webinars throughout the month, and we'll try to cover some of those additional benefits and stuff that I'm really excited about, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we just scratched the surface. I mean, my opinion is this: if you want to be a professional level trader, whether that's full time or part time, you don't have to. When I say full time, we're thinking more full time income. You don't have to spend full time hours. Then this is the place you need to be. I mean, this is definitely for the most dedicated and serious people. Want to be a part of the university, and we've never developed a curriculum like this. This is brand new curriculum for us. We decided to, like on the Trend Jumper side, it's been performing so well over the almost 2 years, year and a half that it's been out, that we decided let's really expand the curriculum on the Trend Jumper with the graduate level, with the master's level. Let's really up the ante on the software. I mean, Troy and Will have been working on the software that nobody has seen yet for months, and that's all going to be included. We've never talked about automation the way we are now. That's all part of the equation. I've shown you some trade plans that literally on automation would pay for the enrollment 5-10 times over. So I mean, the path is there. There is, of course, risk, but we're sharing a lot of that with you. I mean, we're obviously have the guarantee, but I'm also giving you, in my case, plans that I personally use and what I personally learned the hard way. Trust me, when I learned, there's tens of thousands of dollars at risk, and sometimes I lose that just to figure some things out for people in the university. I mean, that's the reality, and the guys know. I mean, I don't put anything out unless I put my hard money on the line. Nothing's ever virtual. In the beginning, it's virtual, but until I trade something for a few months with real money, it just cannot see the light of day. So really exciting, and it's a great overall program. I know that Ron and Will have been doing a great job answering all the questions. I'll see if there's anything else. Yeah, automation, good question. After the 90 days, and I got to think about this, I believe it's $297 after the 90 days, and there's also the ability to just to buy a license. I don't like to force that up front because I want you to make sure that you're going to use it in your day-to-day trading. If you do, then that's something that you'll definitely want to get your hands on. Yes, you can pay with PayPal. I believe when you check out, there is a PayPal option because there's no recurring on this that's built in. That should be, normally we can't do PayPals when there's monthly fees, but in this case there isn't. So let me just make sure it's possible. Yeah, I see PayPal on here, so it should work. If you have any problem, just contact the office directly. Is there a website that lists what you get with the training? Yeah, I know, it'd be such a long list. When you go to the order forms, they list some of the things that you get. I guess we probably need to do a little better job fully detailing everything. So Mel, that's a good note for us on this presentation. This is the first time we've done this curriculum, and as we went through it, and I'm sure Troy felt this, I was like, wow, there is a lot here. This is pretty deep. So, I felt a little bit like we're not even covering everything. I should bring up, too, Troy mentioned this, we have a lot of other neat webinars coming up where we'll do the same thing we did today, and the first 2/3 of it, we're really going to educate. So if you go to premiertraderuniversity.com/webinars, we've got things like scaling your trading business, scalping, building a full-time income with Forex, how to trade a small account, how to trade Forex in 15 minutes a day. We got some really great topics coming up that we're excited about. So we've already got people signing up for a lot of those webinars, and you'll be hearing from some of the other coaches as well in that. So those maybe, we have one, I think, on the small account. That's really usually very popular, swing trading Forex. Anyway, that's all very, very good stuff. So be sure to get involved in that as well. Let me see some more questions here. Monthly fees after training, there's none unless you want to stick with the Trade Assist. But we're not going to charge you the $277 a month that we normally do, which covers the live room. So 4 times a week in the U.S. session, and the 2 times a week in the European hours. Normally that's $277 a month. That's over $3,000 a year. You get lifetime on that. That's waived. So even some of you who are on Trend Jumper with lifetime, you're not on Trend Jumper VIP lifetime. You'll get that automatically with your enrollment in the university. Keltner Bells is not included. That's a standalone on its own. Lou says, I've already attended live rooms for 4 days, which is cool. I'm glad. Hopefully you're getting something out of that. Yeah, so how does the TradeStation tuition back work? This is from William. The way that it works is, and I want everybody to know that we don't push TradeStation because we make money from them. We receive zero compensation from them, from NinjaTrader. There's not a broker in the world that pays us. So if we give recommendations, it's because we're doing it because we know. So with TradeStation, you'll be very happy with the platform. You'll be happy with the brokerage. Okay, so if you go ahead and set up with our contacts there, one, they'll take care of you like you would not believe because our people last. They make money on you, which is what you want because that means that you're actually lasting and you're successful. So they throw everything at you that they can. I mean, discounts on exchange fees, all kinds of stuff. And they'll code your account, and what they'll do is they'll charge you very competitive, inexpensive commissions, and they'll rebate you back a certain percentage on every single trade automatically, and they'll just keep putting that into your account, and they'll code your account and say, okay, you paid $34.97 or $24.97, and you'll just keep getting money back into your account until that is completely paid for. You're going to be trading anyway. You're going to be paying commissions anyway. You can't get around it. We all have to pay it. I do too. I don't have any special connection. But if I can get money rebated back to me well, I'm doing what I normally do, it's free money. It's found money. So that's a good deal. Yeah, Pierre, I think there's going to be some limitations with Canada. You'll have to contact them, I guess, because I know there's always been some licensing thing depending upon the province that you are in. If we're talking, futures, it just depends. I think Forex is a non-issue, but there's no commissions on Forex. So they'll treat you great if you're at TradeStation and trade Forex. I mean, they'll give you everything they can, our contacts there, and really help you out, but I don't think they can do commission reimbursement on that. Trade Assist, yeah, I think after the 90 days, I believe, like I said, $277 a month. Is it really helpful? You're going to find, I believe, that it is super helpful, unless you continue to trade manually, which is perfectly fine. We have many, many people who do that. I think sometimes what happens, though, when you have the tools available to you, you kind of wonder how you live without it. But it's not a requirement by any means. Jose, maybe not Brian, Troy answered this a little bit. What makes Trend Jumper Pro better than the Trend Jumper Standard?
Well, the strategy is the same, and you learn how to use all the maneuvers manually with the Trend Jumper Standard, but the Trend Jumper Pro has a lot more in it. A lot of it's convenience. I mean, being able to have it do the key level adjustments and trail the stops for us is great. I mean, it cuts down on mistakes, just that one little thing. But there's so much more to it, especially with the Pro tools that we're now adding, okay? Because this is just now offering up a whole new world of opportunities on markets and time frames and different ways to trade with it, but also it syncs up with the automation. So that's a biggie right there, whereas the Standard doesn't. The trade tracking, the Pro knows when to cancel trades. I mean, it's just taking the strategy to a whole nother level.
Great, thanks, Troy. Yeah, I mean, it's so many potential benefits there. Lou says, if I open an account with NinjaTrader, a discount will be given on purchasing a PT product. Well, no, with NinjaTrader, what you can do, and there are some great brokers there. Like, for instance, if you're going to do futures, AMP futures and Ninja is a really nice combination because they'll pick up a lot of the costs on the data and even the exchange fees. So that's a really nice combination. So there's some definitely good choices with Ninja as well. And I should point out on the automation side, that's not something that we do on MetaTrader, right, Troy? So that's not going to be something. Those tools are available on NinjaTrader and TradeStation. So the advanced level tools like that, all the training applies, but some of the advanced tools, we just cannot program some of the things that we do into MetaTrader.
Yeah, that's true. MetaTrader is a great platform for what it is, which is free. But, when you want to then step up to a professional level, there's costs. I mean, you have to think like a business person. This is a business. Trading is a business. Investing in your business is just something that has to be done. I don't care if it's a pizza parlor or a dry cleaner or a trading business. There's investments that one makes in their business. Having the best tools, I think, is a wise investment. And while MetaTrader certainly works great with Trend Jumper, it does what it does. It doesn't do more than that. If you want to do more than that, you invest, you expand your business. So it's definitely a business decision, something you have to think about very hard and make the best decision for you.
Great. Somebody's saying the code. I see that some people have come in and the code's worked. So it looks like it's working to me in answer to Jim. I put 500OFF and you hit apply. You put it in the promo code, then you hit apply, and it'll change it from $29.97 down to $24.97. Sean said it worked for him. So yeah, it should work, and Tony as well. So if for some reason it goes through at $29.97 and you were entitled to that, just do me a favor and contact us, and we can just credit you back if it's just not being stubborn for some reason. So just so you know that. Some questions on like if, and I know there are some people who, maybe this one person, Krazy, who if you already went through the boot camp, let's say, so you have Trend Jumper and you have the boot camp, one thing that we will do, because what you don't have is anything in the master's program. You don't have any of my automated trade plans. You don't have any of that training. we'll go ahead and credit you back what you paid originally for the boot camp upgrade. So you'll basically be coming in at the $24.97 minus the boot camp that you had paid for previously. That's how you got the Pro Calc before. So what you'll need to do is enroll, take the family discount at $24.97, and you will need to contact us and say, hey, I was a boot camper, and we'll need to credit you back the difference. So that's no problem at all. We don't want you to have to pay twice for anything, and we certainly don't want anybody who's already taken some of the upgrades before to feel like they're not entitled to the additional upgrades here. Sean says, worked for me, haven't got any confirmation. Well, that should come via email. You'll definitely get that. I see definitely your order went through, Sean, so that email should come through. For whatever reason, after a little while in the processing, you can always contact us, but you should be getting your notifications on that. Refresh and try it again. No problem, Jim. I'm glad it worked. Not a problem. No, we're not going to work with multi-charts at this point. TradeStation, Ninja, and a little more limited on MetaTrader, as we've mentioned. Sean said, I've had issues when I signed up for TrendJumper and when I signed up for Killer Bell saying I had given wrong email address. Interesting. Yeah, same thing. We'll work anything out. Sometimes you just need to kind of contact us more directly and shoot an email, give a call, use our online chat if we need to sort something out. Tony, if you are planning on going to LA for sure, and I know if that's the case, do me a favor and email us to the email on the screen. Say, hey, I enrolled in the April class, and I am attending LA, or my plan is to attend. This way, we start to keep count. As we start to enroll more people, we'll do a formal reservation. But if we kind of get notice from you now, we'll know that you're in, and you'll have a spot for sure. Yeah, any idea what additional credit for the TJ Boot Camp from John? Yeah, I mean, we're going to give you 100%. We're not going to hold back. So I can't remember exactly what that was. If it was $997, you'll get that entire credit. But you just need to let us know and give us a chance to credit you back after you enroll. So just make sure that you do let us know. Lou says, can I get the family plan discount of $500? Yes, as long as you own something of ours. So hopefully you do. You can pay in 4 payments. When you go to netpicks.com/enroll, there's a 4-payment option. Hector says, I have TrendJumper Lifetime, but I did not start yet. I'll be free in the daytime soon. Do I have? No, you don't have the boot camp at all. So Hector, in your case, if you're interested in everything we showed you, you would do the TrendJumper option. You would do the $500 off. In that case, you would have known if you did boot camp. So for you, everything brand new will be the graduate portion of this. So that's going to be the pro level calculator, the trade assist training, my trade plans, and then everything that's brand new for nobody's received yet is obviously the master's level, which is all the new features, new trade plans that are coming with that. So day 2 and day 3 will be very new for you. So anyway. Glenn says, is TradeStation much better for evaluating system performance than Ninja? Do you really need TradeStation? No, if you have Ninja running, and you've got good data, and you're getting streaming data, not that tick by tick or that sort of thing, it's very good. So you can definitely stay where you're at, Glenn. Jim says, okay, when I click on the 4 payments, try using the $500 off, it doesn't work. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I think that just does it, Jim, on the full pay. I don't have a big problem offering it to you, but again, I hate to do this, but otherwise I have to have 15 different URLs. What you can do is go ahead and do the 4 pay, and then you'll need to contact us, and we'll have to credit you back on that first payment that you did, the $500. There's really no way that we can work around that, I guess. So. Hector C, yeah, if you have the options program, you get the family discount. It's a one-time $500. I can't give you $500 off for everything you have. No problem for you, Jim. All right, I'm going to do one final call out for any last questions in case there are any that we didn't answer. I do want to encourage you to contact us. If you need to talk this through some more, want to talk with somebody, that's okay. I'm not telling you that you can't enroll after today. We're just getting going on the enrollments. We will run out of space at some point, but it won't be today. So by all means, shoot us an email, give us a call. We'll be happy to talk to you, whether it's Brian or Ron or TJ, etc. So definitely take advantage of that. I know that it's a real investment for all of you. I think it's well worth it, but sometimes you have to think about that a little bit more, and we certainly get it. Anyway, Troy, any closing comments before we close it out?
It's just exciting. I mean, we haven't done PTU in a long time, so I'm looking forward to meeting people at the live training. It's going to be fun, and just stretching this out further, exploring some of these new horizons. It's going to be an exciting time, I think, for all of us. So welcome aboard to everyone who's coming to join us.
Very good. Sounds great. Yeah, thank you, everybody, as well. No matter what, I hope you got something out of our presentation on automation, semi-automation, something you'll really think about a lot deeper. Maybe I'll steer you and save you some money on some of the things that I experienced, no matter what, overall. So thanks a lot also to Ron and to Will, and Troy, you as well. And we'll see you guys next week, too. We got some more webinars coming up, so check those out, and we'll see you then.